Totally Nonsense on Nonsense News Nation. Totally.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kids and cadets, to another riveting edition of Totally Nonsense on Nonsense News Nation. I'm your host / boy, Brandon Skydell's team name, Shmuel Milch.
Hi, I'm the second host. I'm Scott. I'm not going to give my last name. How many times have I given my last name on this show?
About 0.
We have not made an episode in about a month, maybe a little longer, right?
Right, but we had to come out of retirement to review 2020 because it is the end of the year, and it's only fitting. It's only fitting. To make it even more special, Scott, we have the person who makes the thumbnails for each and every one of our podcasts or radio shows. RIP to radio shows, by the way. We're not doing that anymore. Ben Schwartz.
Hey, how's it going?
The voice actor of Sonic the Hedgehog. Look it up. It's real.
It's on
IMDb.
It's real.
His name is Ben Schwartz. That is the voice actor of Sonic. I'm putting two and two together, and...
Hey, how's it going?
See that? He's a professional.
Oh, my God.
The three of us are at Brandon's house right now. 2 of us are wearing masks.
When is...
So that kind of helps set the groundwork for what we're going to talk about.
Right. So, when was the last time we all sat around together in the same room recording a podcast specifically?
Specifically a podcast?
That could have been back
Not this year.
Not this year.
Maybe February or March, maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
We reviewed the Sonic movie. Didn't that come out this year?
Sonic
that was when everything was kind of
It's hard
normal.
to think about. It's hard to think about that this year there was normalcy, but then there wasn't. So that's what's interesting about this year, and we wanted to talk about it and just reflect upon it, because oh my goodness, so much to talk about. So, just like last year, we're going to break it down month by month. Without further ado, let's just get right into how all years start in the month of January. Do you remember anything that happened in January? It's so hard to think about, but could you remember anything that happened?
We almost went to war, remember?
There was rumors about a World War III, and listen, war is bad. I'm all about peace and love, that Ringo style, but here's the thing. It would be the third part of a trilogy. Don't you just want to be part of a trilogy? Don't everyone always wanted that? I mean, it never ended well. It didn't end well for Shrek or Spider-Man. But, I mean, it did for Toy Story, but then they made a 4th one and ruined it.
Or Cars. It didn't end well for Cars.
The possibility of World War III, and we thought that was going to be it. Well, actually, I totally didn't think that, but it was still like a meme.
I mean, I had no idea. I mean, it could have gone either way. Who knows? But that happened.
There was a different kind of war.
Ben, did anything happen to you personally in January that you remember?
I remember being really drunk on New Year's and throwing up.
Oh, me too. Actually, that's the thing I should bring up. So that was New Year's.
Oh.
We rang in the New Year with that and almost went to war a few days after that.
You know what I did? So back then, I worked at a movie theater. I always used to talk about it on the podcast when I actually worked there. Regal Cinemas. It was terrible. And I was getting ready that day because my shift was going to end at 12 o'clock, which is the new year, which is the thing people make out to. But I was working at the theater. So I was at 12 o'clock, I was going to be Happy New Year, and then just leave.
Sorry, somebody just had a fun...
broke out in laughter. So I was ready to at least acknowledge when the countdown, because my watch counts the seconds. But it turns out I missed it. I was cleaning a greasy popper, risking getting burnt alive like Two-Face from Batman. And I looked at my watch, it was 12:01. I'm like, oh.
You missed it.
Oh, I missed it.
By a minute.
Wow. And then I vowed to never do that again. And I did end up having a decent January. I went to Florida with my brother to my grandma's, and we went to all these cool nature places. There's a place called Manatee Lagoon. We saw manatees. Love manatees.
You didn't go to Israel this year, right?
That was last year. Yeah, that was an experience.
Towards the end of the year, right?
Yeah, so because travel is such a hard thing in 2020, Florida had to be my Israel for this year. Sadly enough. I mean, I had a great time, and I remember I got my work schedule. I was lying in bed in Florida, and I saw this person that I had dated, I had worked with, was back on the schedule, because originally she was on school leave, so I just blocked her out of my memory. And every schedule I'd look and see if her name was like had time slots. And then I finally saw it, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I cannot do this. So luckily enough, I got a job producing podcasts, like Christian podcasts, but it was an awesome thing. I wasn't getting paid as much as the movie theater job, unfortunately, but it was a job. It was something in my field that I had a degree for, my media communications degree, and yeah, I took it. I left Regal. Literally the next day after New Year's, I had to clean up a bathroom that looked like Hershey Park had a terrorist attack.
Holy.
It was really bad. There was chocolate swirls. There was a chocolate fountain. There was chocolate chips. It
How
was
does that
really
even
bad.
happen?
It's like that one level from the Simpsons game for the PlayStation 2, Xbox 360, and original Xbox.
I feel like it's like a mother or like a dad or something that like is literally holding the child and like took off the pants and then like a machine gun, like a Gatling gun, it just exploded everywhere. But it's a good science lesson because it was definitely solids, liquids, and gases.
Reminds me of what happened to Ben when we had Boston Market.
And that was,
Oh, yeah, that's a moment right there.
well, Scott,
That was next month.
when I had to clean that, that was the first time in 2020 that I had to wear a mask. It was before the pandemic.
The foreshadowing.
So, okay, that was January. I got a new job. It was awesome. But February.
If we go month by month, this is going to be a super long.
No, we'll rush
podcast.
through it. February.
It's like an avalanche. It just gets worse and worse.
February. I
Well,
don't
that was
remember what
March.
happened.
February, we saw Sonic.
We saw the Sonic movie, and it wasn't terrible.
It was
wasn't.
great.
It was actually
quite pleasant.
enjoyable. Yeah, it was a good movie,
I
and it was the last movie I ended up seeing in theaters
Me
for this
too.
year, maybe ever. I don't
I
know.
think so too for me.
Wow, I'm glad I got to do with you guys.
Me too.
And what else?
I was wearing a mask during that time as well.
Yes, you were wearing a mask, so that was
I remember that.
that was your time wearing a mask.
I was
And
wearing it before
I-
as well. I was wearing it a year before, like, the whole Corona stuff.
I got
happened
you.
as
I mean,
well.
I didn't say anything at the time, but I did think it was unique.
I was like,
but
what are
now
you
it was
doing?
like the most average thing to do.
Exactly.
Nobody's gonna give you a
It's
look.
now, like, the
Yeah.
most common thing.
Do you think that after the pandemic, some people are going to still wear masks as like a fashion statement?
Yes.
Yeah, or they're probably going to
Yeah.
use it just in regards to health too. I
Regards
think
to health, fashion.
life is not going to be the same from this.
Also, a lot of antisocial people do it so they don't have to talk to people.
I think it was February 1st. We went to the Last Week Tonight show.
No, that was in March. That was right before.
Oh, that was the first. Okay, so February wasn't that eventful. We interviewed Fuzzy Surf. We started interviewing people. And we interviewed
We
this
interviewed
band.
25% of Fuzzy Surf.
We were going to get the entire band on our radio show.
There were issues, but what happened was we interviewed the bass player from Fuzzy Surf, and it went very well.
It went really well.
He was an awesome guy.
And they just released a new album earlier this year called Sweet Tooth, which is really good. Really great band, and it was great doing interviews again. I haven't done it since college.
All my classes were moved to online, which I didn't like at all. I never liked Zoom classes. Ben, what did you do in March?
I went to a concert in March, actually.
Oh, we're just going to March?
Yeah,
Concert in March? Wow.
No, we're in March.
Yeah, I went to a Gucci High Waters and Lund concert in Brooklyn. I think it was around, like, early March, so, like, March 4th. I was able to meet everybody that was performing as well and able to hang out with them backstage, so that was really cool. And you know what? It was the perfect time to go to a concert because right after that, the virus happened, and I'm just kind of glad that I was able to go to a concert before everything, so I didn't feel like I was missing out.
Right.
At least that happened.
I
yeah.
look at March especially, like the beginning of March, with just
That was
some kind of wonder. Like, so I did allude to this just before. You got tickets or something to the Last Week Tonight show, John Oliver,
Yeah.
and I was like your third choice, but I'll take it for to.
Well, because I know you didn't watch him, really.
Yeah, but I always liked him, and it was a great show. I purposely tried to do a Joker laugh just so I could get.
Yeah, and
heard.
they edited out your Joker laugh because they filmed the
Like that.
episode like at like 7:30, and then Brandon and I went back to my house to watch it when it aired, and they cut out Brandon's laugh.
But before that, we watched the Polar Express. It turns out
Oh,
that
yeah.
it did not hold up whatsoever, even with Tom Hanks' wonderful charm. But we can tell you that the Hot Chocolate song is just as great as you remember.
It's even better than you remember, I'd say.
Exactly.
I think March, like the end of March, well, all of March was like the happiest it was all year because I'm like, I don't have to go outside. That was just me. I was just
We're
happy.
talking before the pandemic, right before, like, with the Last Week Tonight show, John Oliver was talking about how serious the coronavirus was. We were still going to the city, interacting with people, not wearing masks, but it was still in conversation, and it was looking like it was going to happen and it was going to hit us. And it did. And I think it was back March 14th or 15th. You, me, and
Oh yeah.
a friend of yours,
Tony.
became my friend, Tony. We went to, what was it, Montauk?
Yeah, we drove to
Long
Montauk.
Island, so we saw like the lighthouse and everything. So we were together. We didn't wear masks. This is very early pandemic, and people were slowly distancing. They were slowly making some restrictions and moving people in restaurants. And I think I saw maybe a few people on the beach wearing masks.
Yeah.
And it was just a tease for what was to come. And like, I knew, talking to you then, that this was going to be the last time of some kind of normalcy. And sadly, it was accurate.
Well, at least I'm sitting here with you right now in
Right.
the room.
Hell yeah.
You know.
Right. Which is,
So-
I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that we were able to continue everything and our friendship. And same with you, Ben. But yeah, the pandemic happened, and it was a major shock to our way of life. We just spent a lot of time in our home, maybe going grocery shopping every now and then, and fighting for toilet paper. Remember that was a thing?
Oh yeah, the
Shortage in toilet paper.
shortage.
Yeah.
I never use toilet paper anyway. I use the family towel.
That's his
I got a
motto.
bidet in my house, so I use a rag.
I kind of like a snail. I just go on the ground and like,
Oh, why would you do that?
cause I don't know. This is my
You're a freak,
revenge
bro.
for my family
You're a
not buying
freak.
food.
I
You're a
just
freak
do
in the
I just do
sheets.
the old-fashioned way. I just keep myself constipated so I don't have to worry about it.
In April, was that when we interviewed Joel Zwick?
So anyway, we can't remember the exact date right now.
Sometime between.
We had this obsession of the Fat Albert 2004 live-action film. Scott was like, we have to interview the director. I'm like, okay, if you can get him. And he did. And we all became Facebook friends, and we interviewed the director of the Fat Albert movie. So that was like a very big highlight. Even during the pandemic, we were able to continue the interview. It went a lot more smoothly than at the radio station because we know what we were doing.
Right.
And yeah, it's good that we're able to communicate and have the podcast. Speaking of, every week from March up until I think July, we had a podcast every week. We had the time on our hands. We were able to do it
It slowed down after July
in August.
when you started working at.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So March was a pandemic.
April and May seemed like they just kind of blurred by.
Yeah.
I think we just canceled April Fool's Day because
There was no joke.
there was no joking about this. But May, the pandemic was bad and everything. Everyone was suffering, and we were in the peaks of just being lonely. And for some reason, this pandemic brought me closer to someone who eventually became my girlfriend. And that started in
Ben?
May. Ben's my boyfriend. He's not
Hey,
my
hey,
girlfriend.
hey, I'm a single man for life.
You're my friend that's a boy. That's
Yes,
what I
you're my
implied.
friend
It's a boyfriend,
that is
right?
No. That's different. That's different. See, a boyfriend is if we do coitus together, but we're not doing coitus together.
I started talking to my girlfriend. It was on Instagram. We were like mutual friends. That was later, Scott.
Yeah.
That was a little more later. That was especially later. So anyway, we followed each other on Instagram, and she had something on her story saying that she wanted to talk to more new people. So I messaged her, and then
And she called you a creep.
she said it jokingly, guys. She didn't mean it.
Typical.
Well, at least you guys are dating now.
No, everything was smooth. We had like nice conversations. Then it developed where we became really close. We started video chatting. Then we'd like have like online music dates and video chatting dates, and then we saw each other in person. Then we started actually dating, then boyfriend and girlfriend, and then you know how the bases work. And yeah, we've been a very happy couple. But yeah, it's just interesting how like this is the last time you'd expect people to make connections, and I did that, and I was still able to keep good connections.
Oh, yeah.
The podcast continued. I'm still talking to you guys.
Talking about connections, yeah, a lot of people had a hard time keeping connections. Same thing with also academics as well. People that were still in school, they were really suffering because of all the Zoom classes.
Right.
If you want to bring that up, everybody started to move.
My
onto
mother.
Zoom.
We didn't even talk about how, like, when classes started getting moved to Zoom, like, all the pranks people were pulling, like, people smoking bongs on the Zoom and, like, stuff like that, and people, like, joining other people's Zoom calls.
Oh, yeah,
And
random.
just, like, yeah. Like, friends would send their friends, like, the Zoom code, and they would just join their friend's class and just mess around.
Yeah.
I mean, just, like, those videos like that, like, it's just kind of testament to how people will take a bad situation and make things, like, super
Funny.
meme.
But
Yeah.
I mean, back to school, even if you did take school seriously online, which who did, it was still hard to learn. It's a very difficult. Listen, I have my mother. She just retired, but she was a speech pathologist, and she had the very last months of her long career as a speech pathologist was during this pandemic with video chat. I don't think it was exactly Zoom. Could have been Google something.
Google Hangout or
Maybe.
like FaceTime.
I don't know. Something like that. It was extremely stressful for her. Extremely. And the kids weren't paying attention, especially little ones. My brother Justin, he was doing his master's degree in the pandemic. My girlfriend, she doing that with her bachelor's degree.
I started a new school, pretty much.
You started a new school. That in itself, for all these people, is stressful. Doing it online, it's just there's benefits to online learning, but it shouldn't be the sole way of education. But understandably, there is a pandemic, and it's for the best. But in my opinion, I think going forward, we should try to go back to school if you're doing school.
Gotta go back to school eventually.
I'd never go to school.
So June, nothing too eventful. We went to the beach that one time. July, it's kind of sad. Like, not many movies were out. Trolls World Tour was out.
Oh, God.
That was the first movie, like, to go to, like, that was going to be in theaters that went to, like, video or whatever. It was from Universal, and then, like, I think AMC vowed to not support the company if they did something like that. So, like, when movie theaters die out for good, or there's a change in the way we view movies, just remember that Trolls World Tour started everything.
It was
Trolls
the
World
founder.
Tour is the most important film of 2020.
It was the OG.
Besides, it has a chance for best picture, not even best animated, best picture, because of its influence on cinema forever.
Forever.
It's gonna be in history books.
In history. August was your birthday.
August was my birthday. Had a nice little outdoor shebang.
I was there.
And Scott was there too.
Scott was there too.
And
Yeah.
it's a nice thing. Like, over the summer, you have the ability to go outside with people, and as long as you're taking precautions, it's fine. And every year I have a little birthday celebration, and we made the most of it, and it was really nice. And I'm glad I had you guys. And just because there is a pandemic doesn't mean fun has to end.
Yes, sir.
And August, I reconnected with an old friend, and she was working at this place that I currently work at now, at the camp as like a counselor. And I wanted to volunteer originally. I had a plan to volunteer there at the start of the year to work on my podcasting job and possibly get another job and make more money, and also go to the gym, which didn't happen because I don't want to go now. I don't want to get the virus while doing squats. She happened to be working there, and I said, I know, I was really interested in volunteering. And she goes, no, I can get you that. You can volunteer. And I said, as much as I want to do that, I'm not really getting a lot of hours for my podcasting job. I'd like to make more money. So she said, well, I think they do have a position. So I applied like twice, and I got this temporary position as like a teacher's assistant, like a counselor for the camp, and it was temporary. And if they liked me, they'd keep me. But here I am today working there. And right now I work, I don't know what I do. I don't know how to describe it. I'm like a zookeeper, but I'm also a museum guide. It's like a dinosaur museum where I give facts about dinosaurs, help with customers. I take care of the animals because we have like emus and stuff and alligators, and it's a really great job. I have been obsessed with animals since as far as back as I can remember, so I'm grateful for that. Really good things happening in like a really bad year. So I think it just proves that life doesn't have to completely end when things aren't always great. You could still make the most of situations, and I think I personally really did. Yeah, and I can't deny how bad things are and have been. But at the same time, there are things I'm just so grateful for that I just can't look away from.
When all the riots were taking place in June,
Okay.
just like looking at the footage of that AutoZone burning down, coupled with like just months of being inside, it was just beautiful. I have no other way to describe it, but just
You really hate AutoZone that much?
like, I don't hate AutoZone in particular. I don't hate like anyone who works at AutoZone either, but just there was something to me beautiful about seeing that. Like, after 4 months of nobody being outside, the first thing you decide to do is burn something down. I don't know. Maybe you guys feel different.
I think I mean, fire is very beautiful. I mean, that's what got the cavemen out of their cave.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I guess history has
maybe
repeated
it's the
itself.
light at the end of the tunnel, Scott.
Maybe it was.
I don't know, man.
The spark, just something better.
I think it was just
You
primal
got the inspiration
human...
to burn down another
Yeah,
AutoZone.
yeah, very political this year.
Very
I
political.
like...
Even if you weren't political, you were forced into it.
Right.
Dude, the week of the election, like, I really didn't really sleep. I was kind of just watching the news.
I was anxious.
Like,
I was incredibly
all
anxious.
those 5 days. I don't really follow politics too well, but I did, like... I felt so... Like, I hadn't slept, and I was, like, so unbelievably mentally drained. But and then Joe Biden won, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go to sleep.
Yeah, I feel that.
Not taking sides either way, but...
Even though you just did.
You
But
just know who won, so you're just like, all
Anyway,
right, time to go to bed.
After like I found out who won, I'm like, all right. Well, I mean, I will say it. I was biased because I wanted Joe Biden to win, and just like seeing that he had won, I'm like, all right, I can actually sleep now.
the anticipation was just killer because they had to count all the mail-in votes and everything, which was just not something you would think about so much in previous years.
Yeah, especially because everybody was home. It took a while to count all those mail-in ballots because there were so many.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it forever, but like basically, the election is over, and it was pretty momentous.
Right.
Even like, regardless of everything, like so many people voted, like more people than have ever voted, and it just kind of goes to show that people are pretty
I think
unhappy.
this is random, but this is about 2020. I think it was in August, maybe September. We interviewed someone from a band here.
Yes,
forgot.
I
So
remember that.
Yeah,
Charles.
and you made the thumbnail.
I made the
for it.
thumbnail for that. That
So
was the expensive
There's
one.
this guy, this guitarist, Charles
Remember what it is.
Coleman,
I'm sorry, but
and he was in this band called Awesome Express that I saw as a kid. And I found out that he's part of this other band called The House on Cliff. And that band broke up, but I still was able to reach out to him, and he was very open to an interview. And it was probably the best interview I ever conducted.
it was
Scott,
the
it
best
was great.
interview we were ever recorded twice.
Yeah, but here's the thing. For some reason, the recording failed. But he was so open and nice to doing another one. And the second one was also really great. And
Yeah.
Charles, he's a great guy, great musician, and an inspiration to us all. And that was good. It shows the good in humanity in such hard times. I'm just trying to go through it. The thing about 2020, it was so eventful, yet it really wasn't. So that's the thing that kind of makes this a little bit difficult to
Talk
get
about.
through. Yeah, because what happened in 2020? What really happened? But then when you think about it, a lot happened.
A lot
I think-
happened, but not.
I
too.
think this is the most important thing. After 2020, it's bound to be more hopeful. Because once you hit the bottom, you can only go back.
Right. Well, speaking of hope, they have developed some vaccines for this, and it's being distributed, and I think first responders are getting it now.
By the end of the month, there's going to be 3 different vaccines available.
Right.
In
So-
3 different flavors.
Lemon, lime, cherry,
And
or-
grapefruit.
Chocolate, vanilla,
I know,
and
I thought you said
strawberry.
gravy for a second.
No, I said grapefruit.
Honey mustard flavored vaccine.
Honey mustard flavored vaccine.
Yum. That'd
My
be a
favorite.
great band name or an album name.
Honey mustard vaccine.
That'd be a
actually,
great
that
stand name.
would- Honey mustard vaccine.
He shoots honey mustard.
You know what would
No,
make
no,
this
no, no, no,
vaccine
no, no.
more appealing? If you could smoke it. There are these vaccines that are being distributed, and it's looking next year that it could be given out. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if there'll be repercussions after this. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that there's hope staring us in the
You
face.
sound like Barack Obama with all this hope that you're.
There's a hope. And,
There is a hope with
my
the
vice
American
president is now president. And
My fellow Americans,
Let's do a dance.
Let me be clear.
So anyway, going forward for 2021, Scott, you're moving to Florida.
Yeah, I'm going to be walking to Florida, because in 2020, we're not only leaving the coronavirus behind, we're leaving cars behind. So,
Yeah, the Cars franchise is over with. Cars
I'm
3
done
ended
with
it.
Cars. I don't want to see Lightning McQueen's face again.
I don't know about you guys.
Cars
but
shouldn't have faces.
Cars shouldn't have faces.
Planes should have faces, though.
No, they shouldn't. They-
Fire and
you know-
Rescue, I heard, was better than the first one.
What is with all these companies in putting faces on vehicles?
Because kids like vehicles to play with, and they try to put the faces on
Exactly,
the vehicles so they
it's
can
a
make
money
toys
maker.
out of it.
Can you, they've made so much money.
So much
from that
money.
simple
Oh my God.
concept.
But anyway,
Video games too.
Yeah.
so it's a new start for you, Scott. I'm happy for you. We will continue the podcast, though. It
Watch,
will be a thing.
I'm going to get, bit by a mosquito and get malaria and
It's
die.
It's Florida. It's not Africa. You'll be
You'll
okay.
be fine. You'll be fine.
Dude,
The
no,
worst
I'm-
thing you'll have to deal with is somebody breaking into your home naked with a brick and a toothbrush. You'll have to deal with Florida, man.
You have to become Florida man or else you get Florida manned.
So your name isn't Scott anymore. It's Florida man.
I'm gonna have to I have to change it to something super wacky and then run naked through the street and roll
What,
around.
your name's gonna be Scott Zeke or something?
So before we end this, I want to do something real quick.
Okay.
Everybody, I want you to name something that came out in 2020 that you think is the best, a best movie or something that came out in 2020, best game, best movie thing.
Oh, okay.
I know what mine is, and it's the South Park Pandemic Special.
That was hilarious.
That was the funniest
Oh
thing
my
South
God.
Park's done in a really long time, in my opinion.
I caught up to One Piece this year. So
Yeah.
I was able to watch all of the new One Piece episodes that came out, and that's honestly a big treat for me, seeing all the new animation and being able to catch up with this monumental series.
So episodes of One Piece were made in 2020.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't even know it was still
And you know
happening.
what? There's actually a little ad for the pandemic of all the Straw Hat Pirates, saying make sure to wash your hands and stay clean. And they had a doctor on it as well, the doctor on the crew, which is the little reindeer guy. So he's make sure to wear a mask and all that.
No one's gonna have this answer, but so me and my brother are the one people that still watched Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Wait, you're still watching that?
Well, it's over. I'm not watching it anymore. So the thing is, it's a spin-off of the Avengers and Agent Phil Coulson, who died in it, but they resurrected him. And so it was on its 7th season. And the show got really good, but people were they dipped off from it just because the show didn't start well. It didn't get its footing, but it totally had it at that point for season 7, and it was about time travel, and they're going through different decades, and it was great fan service for Marvel Television. They had someone from the show Agent Carter become a permanent agent in the show, which was nuts. And oh my God, it was so satisfying and fulfilling as a fan of the show, but also Marvel and the MCU. So when people say nothing came out in the MCU, no movies or Disney Plus shows, there was that season of television, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was the first MCU television show ever, and it was very satisfying. I guess that was my thing. So yeah, there are good things. Just stay hopeful. Good things to come. Podcasts will continue.
Plenty of things, plenty of thumbnails.
I'm working on a poetry book too. I'll announce that soon once I get it out. And yeah, guys, thanks for coming here.
Anytime.
Thanks for
Really,
being here,
anytime.
Scott. There won't be for much longer, but thank you.
I love you, bud.
Oh, he's assaulting
I would
me.
hug you too, but I'm gonna probably be back in like a couple of days.
I know, you will. Got to play the new Switch I got you.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm so thankful for that as well.
Yeah. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed the podcast. I really did.
I did.
If you want to hear more
This
from
was
us,
miserable.
I sure hope you do. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and YouTube. We have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, a website to boot on nonsensenewsnation.com. And if you want to contact us personally and complain to us about your 2020, because we are here for you and we love you, you can contact us at nonsensenewsradio@gmail.com. That is nonsensenewsradio@gmail.com. Once again, I've been Brett Nellis.
I've been Ben Schwartz.
I've been Scott.
And this was Totally Nonsense on Nonsense News Nation. We'll see you next year. Peace and love.
Bye.